Drive it out. Drive it out. Drive it out. Welcome to 94 Corolla. My name's Morand. Every single person in the entire world has some kind of a 94 Corolla moment. This like grand moment in your life that just sort of happens in this common, banal, very familiar place. And I think that's what's so special about the song is that, you know, although I'm speaking from a very, very specific place, it's an easily relatable topic that anybody can catch on to. So John and I met through one of our mutual friends. Her name's Jenn. So Jenn came to me one day and she's like, I gotta introduce you to this guy named John. He's totally awesome. He's an amazing musician. And you and him have the same kind of vibe.
And I suppose my energy in the room or something that I was saying or doing must have made Jenn say like, hey, you remind me so much of this other guy, Connor. And I'm like, oh, okay, is that a good thing? And he's like, yeah, he's the best. Like, just you have to get in a room with him.
Yeah.
I never heard of him.
Neo?
Never heard of her.
Neo, That's good. Jenn kind of set it up and she got us both into a session. And from there, John and I were just kind of feeling each other out and just like, you know, hey, is this gonna work? Are we gonna be able to create music together? And we pretty much knew within the first like 2 minutes. And for John and I, it just kind of clicked. And from there, we just started making music.
Yeah.
One day in October, I had this really cool part on the piano. So this is me playing the piano, clapping, like I'm hitting the top of the piano, and I just thought it was such a groovy idea, such a vibe. I can then remember I was in a session with John the next day, and I brought that idea to him, and I'm like, John, I think this is a pretty cool idea. Let's just see if we can actually work with this idea.
I thought it had vibe, I thought it had flow, it had groove. We were, you know, sitting at the MIDI keyboard and just pounding out drums and parts, and it was like, yeah, this is feeling like really like hip-hoppy and Jay Dilla-esque, and I was like, okay, shit, this is some cool emotion even through just the instrumentation. And so from that point, it was like, okay, now what do we do on top of that, lyrically? Oh, there you go. That's cool, that's cool.
So my girlfriend and I broke up. We broke up for a grand total of less than 24 hours. It was a super small time frame. We actually broke up right in the middle of Springbank Park, which is just this park right here in London, Ontario. And it was just such an average place. And she sat me down on a park bench and she broke up with me. And it was just like it was a shell shock.
As much as it's about throwing musical ideas at the wall and seeing what sticks, it's also about throwing yourself into the session, you know, and divulging those personal experiences, your fears, your hopes, your anxieties, your dreams.
There were so many times when I had a set of lyrics that I thought were like just so good. And then I would go back to them the next day and I'd be like, okay, no, these aren't it at all. John said something really smart. He said, you should write about the breakup. You should take that moment, you should take that time in your life, even though it was super short, and you should try to write about that. And then the light kind of came on, and then we sort of played around with a few ideas back and forth, and then the Corolla line came. So then John and I got together, and we were playing around with being more specific about it. Because then it wasn't just back of your Corolla, we were playing around with dates and numbers, and it was like, hanging on by a moment now in your 86 Corolla, 92 Corolla, 94 Corolla. And as soon as that line hit, then it was like, wow, that's the one. There's just so much symbolism behind every single part of this song, from the instrumentation to the lyrics. Like 94 Corolla to me and to you as well, right?
Yeah.
Like it's this big grand moment. It's exploring this idea of having these big, large, massive moments.
Exactly, yeah.
Inside of pretty, you know, average and familiar spaces, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Like, you know, it's what happens inside of the car. It's all of those moments that you have in such a comfortable place to you, right?
Yeah.
It could be your favorite coffee shop.
Anything is your 94 Corolla.
Right.
Yeah.
Producers that are watching this, I use Logic Pro X, okay? That's what I use. That's my tool, right? And we stumbled across this gospel choir, oh yeah sample, and that you could actually play it in any note that you wanted. And as soon as Connor laid down this thick chord with all of these oh yeahs, you know, it sounded like, you know, 17 different people just screaming oh yeah at me, and I was like, okay, wow. Yeah, right?
I will never forget how stoked we got when we first heard that. It was such a big moment in the song, and just in the song's progression and how we like expanded on that going forward.
Like it's not even that it's saying anything in particular lyrically, but the emotion imbued in that phrase, coupled with the big strings and brass, it just took me back. I was just like, okay, this is nothing like I've ever done before.
Like, okay, like a drunken bar kind of atmosphere, but like it works. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, it's not this vibe, but it works.
No.
It works.
Yeah, we're hanging on by a moment now when you're 94 Corolla. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We both had this kind of common feeling where it was, okay, like we need to get other people involved. We need to make this so much greater and so much bigger. So I called like 10 of my best, most talented friends, and I got them into a studio, and we went to town. We laid down so many different things. The biggest priorities are gonna be the, oh yeah, and then the hanging on by moments at the very end. Once we get those out of the way, then it's pretty much all cake from there. This is gonna be the power. This is really gonna be the backbone of this whole gang vocal.
Damn right.
Is the ladies right here.
It's pumping us up.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I am a little bit. I like that.
I like creating music with other people. If you get the right people involved inside of a really amazing project, and they're super passionate about wanting to make your song, your project, the very best that it can be, then it's gonna make it that much more special in the long run.
Music is a universal language, but there's a lot of different dialects. Connor and I have the same dialect. We have the same way of phrasing things. We have the same way of articulating our ideas. We have the same point of reference.
I have so much to learn, and John can just, he just offers so much to me. But I also know that I'm extremely valuable to this process as well, because I know that he is also taking things from me that he might not have otherwise known. And that's really special.